Welcome to Locked and Loaded, episode 3. Arsenal 2, Fulham 2. Really poor result, and I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Really poor result. On a day when Saka was just, I don't know. For me, that's probably his worst performance in an Arsenal shirt. Just nothing was coming off. He gave away the goal that put his goalkeeper in trouble in the first minute of the game. His passing was off, touch was off, dribbling was off. He did really well to score the penalty, but apart from that, he just really was not on it. And he wasn't the only one. It was a poor overall performance from everyone, right? I felt Martin Odegaard wasn't really on it today. Leandro Trossard, after not starting the last 2 games, you would have thought today was the day he would really show up, but a poor game from him. Probably the poorest game as well that I've seen in an Arsenal shirt from him. And funny enough, it's like the result sucks and we dropped the points, but the performance overall, if you just take a step back, wasn't the worst performance you'll ever see, but the individual performances were just not up to par. And you can add Kai Havertz to that. Terrible game. There were runs being made, he didn't see them, or he doesn't make the pass. There are runs he should have made and he doesn't make the runs. There were chances he had to put the ball in the back of the net, like just stick a leg out. And he was just you can't even say anonymous, right? So it's not like the guy was hiding. He was there, but he wasn't there at the same time. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he gets dropped or not for the next game. I highly doubt it. He's a confidence player, and I think dropping him will probably do him more harm than good. And if you drop him, who do you bring in? Trossard, after the game he had, he probably doesn't come in. But the 2 players I would bring for both those players, for Trossard and for Havertz would be Eddie Nketiah and Fabio Vieira, who looked really good when they came on. They looked so good. Eddie's still so sharp, as he's shown over the last game or 2. I think it looked really good since coming on. It was a great vote of confidence from Mikel as well to bring him on instead of Jesus, who did end up coming on later in the game. Looked a bit rusty. But Eddie played really well, got himself a goal, and got involved in the play. And Fabio Vieira looked like a man possessed. For me, that was his best performance in an Arsenal shirt. He looked like someone who came on and wanted to prove a point. He looked like someone who wanted to come on and make an impact. And he looked like someone who was fighting for his place in the team. And you then have to think to yourself, Smith Rowe didn't come on. Looks like he's further down the pecking order. Reece Nelson, recently came back from injury, but he's possibly down the pecking order. And Vieira might just be knocking. He might just be knocking on the door. For that first team. Do I think he starts the next game? Probably not, but he's definitely put himself at the forefront of the manager's mind when it comes to, who do you bring on first? Who do you bring on first as a substitute? And I think Vieira played really, really well. He was so good. Really, really good. But in general, listen, man, it feels like a defeat. It's not a defeat. We got a point, but it's a point at home. It's a point against a team you feel will be fighting relegation throughout the season. It's not an ideal time to drop points, especially in the way we drop points with Manchester United looming on the horizon for next weekend. Next week Sunday, is it next week Sunday the 3rd? You've got Manchester United looming, and they had a poor game themselves. Went 2-0 down, but they ended up winning their game 3-2. So it's going to be an incredibly interesting game next weekend between Manchester United and Arsenal. Two teams that are not in the best form. Arsenal are not that bad, really. It's just about ironing out these small, it's concentration, It really is just all concentration, and I'm not sure how exactly you go about fixing concentration issues. Like, concentration issues are not, it's not, is it a coach thing? Is there something that needs to be coached out of them, or is it just a general group mentality? Because these mistakes tend to happen at home and they're not happening away from home. So yeah, man, really, really disappointing. Really disappointing. I think some of these players need to have a look in the mirror. I'm really glad that we now have the depth and the ability to say, listen, if you're not playing well, there's the next guy waiting to come in, And despite these goals going in, I actually thought our defense had a really, really good game. All of them. Partey, White, Saliba, Kivior, Zinchenko, when he came on, looked really good. Aaron Ramsdale made some really good saves and wasn't at fault for any of these goals. So I think the back line is looking good. But, when you've got stray passes coming from midfield and they're just constantly putting your defense under pressure, you can't really blame those guys for anything. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting week ahead. Champions League draw is coming this week as well. And I think there's probably going to be more games like this throughout the season. I think this team is going to be a second half of the season team. There's been a lot of change in the team, a lot of players coming in. The tactics have slightly changed, and it hasn't clicked yet. It didn't click in preseason. It hasn't clicked so far since the season has started and kicked off, and I don't think this is going to kick off until probably the second half of the season. And the most important thing for us now is just to be there or thereabouts. Stay in the race. We need to go on a decent run over the next month or so. And let's see what we get. So please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And I will chat to you guys next time. All right, I'm out. Peace.